Hello, how you doing? How's your day been? Yo, it's me, Big Nose. Do you want the best player on the game? Well, you can't get D-Money, because he's probably not in FIFA. So, get Phil Bardsley. Get all the Phil Bardsley. So if you're looking for the best way to get coins, don't spend fewer points, go over to useandbuy.com for the cheapest place on the market for your coins. Use code Vizeh at checkout, and most importantly, enjoy the video. This morning, I was watching some good old-fashioned nostalgic FIFA. FIFA 14, wages and pink slips, KSI, Eastern Gear, Broader Shore, these people that formed my childhood, bro. And I remember watching a FIFA 14 pink slip, and I saw a certain player, George Weah. So two things just happened just now. Either you know exactly who he is, and you're just there like, oh no. Or you have no idea, and you're just there like, pretty much. George Weah was a legend back in FIFA 14, 15, 16, and 17. And is well known to be one of the most OP legends that's ever been on this game. Then I realized that he's not been in a FIFA for 4 years. So it made me think, why is he being removed? Then I realized that there's also like 20 other icons that also has been removed from FIFA. So I thought that I'd do a video, a little breakdown here, going into every single icon that is no longer in FIFA and why are they no longer in the game? Why are they just yeeted out of it and just never explained? Right now, I want you to try and name the other icons that was in the game that's no longer here. I guarantee you'll forget like 3, 5, maybe even 10. Some icons that are here will be like really good nowadays, like insanely good. So if you guys do enjoy, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. Let's get stuck into this, boys. And let's begin. So let us start from the beginning, and let's begin with a player which you definitely have heard of, and you may already know that he was removed, but you may have never known really why. Romario. Now Romario has only ever had one card ever in the history of FIFA. Ever, which is actually a nice looking card. He's got 5-star skill moves, he's got 4-star weak foot, 5'7", and also he's got good pace, great agility, 99 finishing. This was a unbelievable card, which you can imagine this card nowadays would be really nice. Now, of course, this was a pretty popular like moment because like it was so weird to see a card that just randomly was no longer in packs and therefore no longer in the game. This is Romario now. He is now the official state senate in Brazil. He's been a senator of Rio de Janeiro since 2015, so ever since FIFA 14, when he actually started running to be a politician in Brazil, ever since then, he's no longer been in FIFA. Feels so weird to look at it, but yeah, Romario, the actual football Romario. I guess it may not also look good if you are, you know, having a ball kicked about in a game. I don't know what the rules are, but I guess that probably is a big reason why he's no longer in the game. So Romario, politics. Who would have thought? Speaking of politics, we might as well get into the next one, which is George Big Wang Weah. This guy was an absolute beast. I never used him, but trust me, I knew he's an absolute beast because I always faced him for some stupid reason. He had pace and high-low work rates and could finish. And can also head the ball as he was 6 foot. He had pretty much every single thing that you needed for a typical meta card back in these FIFAs. Keep in mind, he's been in FIFA since FIFA 14, so 14 he had a card, 15, 16. So you can imagine what disrespectful things this card likely did to people back in the day. But yeah, George Weah is now a politician. And actually, is more than a politician. He's the goddamn president of Liberia. The president of an entire country. My guy went from kicking ball to running an entire country, bro. Of course, ever since January 22nd, 2018, he's been the president of the entire country. My guy went from prime AC Milan, lifting a Ballon d'Or, to now just being, you know, running a country. Fair play. Thank you, George Weah. Thank you for no longer being in FIFA now. Otherwise, we'll be seeing you almost every single weekend. Now, this one is technically cheating, but it also happened at the same time. So I'm going to say that this is technically a ban and removal because it did, but it did kind of come back. So I'm just going to add this in here just in case someone tells you down below in the comments. Van Basten, last year, he's had cards in FIFA since FIFA 14. He's been in the game each time ever since. It's been a thing, right? But back in FIFA 20, he actually, for about, I believe a couple of weeks or a month, was actually removed from the game. And the reason why is something that I actually can't believe. He got removed over an offensive comment. And that offensive comment was, I don't think I can even say it. I want to say it, but I feel like I may get demonetized off YouTube for saying it. I don't know how PG YouTube are now, but that word, that, apparently he said a I can't even say it, but he said that on air. EA put out a message from FIFA team saying this: "We are aware of the recent comments made by Marco van Basten. This was all made because Van Basten said the term sig on air. This was all because Van Basten on the Fox News, the Dutch version of Fox News anyway, one of his presenters said German like a funny way. So then, for whatever reason, Van Basten said, and I repeat, in quotations, which of course, if you don't know, is pretty much like related to, you know, the bad people in 1943. So he was removed from the game, but he got brought back because he's not in the game now. So I guess we're all saved. So Van Basten's here. Next up is actually quite sad when you think about it, because this is Laudrup, but not the one that you think of, and that kind of replicates his life almost at this stage now. Ryan Laudrup, which of course brother of Michael Laudrup, which is in FIFA now. Michael Laudrup is really the bigger name in Denmark and is really the bigger name in football in grand scheme of things. Not returning for the Icons in FIFA 18 for whatever reason. By the way, don't ask why there's an ad for Fiat 500. Trust me, I am not looking at that. I guess at least a pink one, not a right one, Christ. But I am definitely looking at the Nigeria pre-match shirt. I'm definitely looking at that. Trust me, I am. EA just saw no point of having two Laudrups that, because there'll be two different Laudrups, because there'll be 3 different versions of the card, and then there'll be 4 eventually with the icon moment. So they saw that as it just being really confusing for some people and for the actual database, that they thought it would make sense just to have one Laudrup so that it just doesn't make it confusing. Up next is our boy, Big Landon Donovan, my friends. Landon Donovan went from having team of season, to then becoming his very own icon. Now, his card actually isn't that bad, I'll be honest. It's not the worst card I've ever seen in the world. I don't know if it's because he's American for the budget that EA was intended to spend for the icons for FIFA 18. Apparently, he wanted more money than what EA were actually willing to pay for, so EA just pulled the plug in him pretty much. Now, this guy right here, Franz Beckenbauer, is a very interesting one. I gotta be honest here. Now, Beckenbauer got a legend card back in FIFA 15, not FIFA 14. Now, Beckenbauer didn't have a card back in 14 for whatever reason, even though he's Dean, you know, as 93 rated, a pretty high rated, very respectable footballer. This was a nice card, and of course, if Beckenbauer was in FIFA now, it'll be a really good card. Beckenbauer was in fact accused of fraud over the 2006 World Cup. So this has been going on for a long time. And apparently he's accused of paying the Qatari former FIFA executive Mohammed bin Hammam 8.4 million before the 2006 tournament. Beckenbauer was in fact part of the actual committee for the 2006 World Cup, as of course it was held in Germany, and it goes deep into a lot of stuff which I really kind of don't want to go into. Now, I don't know if this thing was still in place back in these days, that why would he get a legend card in first place and took away. My guess is the fact that EA wanted to go for this diverse, you know, equality acceptance route like really badly, so they just didn't want to touch anyone that may have even a hint of any sort of political or any sort of issues whatsoever, really. Carlos Valderrama, debatably the worst icon seen in any FIFA ever, bro. Valderrama's card looks like Jean Moutinho, Cesc Fabregas. The worst card I've ever seen. 4-star, it doesn't matter. The only good thing this card had was hair, and apparently his hair actually may have been an issue. This may sound like I'm making things up here, and it may be. Apparently, if you played FIFA on PC, because of how big his hair is, it actually caused frame rate drops, apparently. Now, maybe it's because he just didn't bring much hype to the game. That's why people just didn't care to use it, because it was like the cheapest card that's an icon all year, because it was so bad. So I like to think the fact that his hair was just simply too big. Okay, so let's get into the large majority of other icons. Now, none of these icons that I can find has got like a sole fundamental reason, like a something that they did that caused them to be removed. Each card here has been gone since FIFA 17 and hasn't been back since. Every single card here other than Bayer, the Portuguese keeper, has been in FIFA since the beginning of Legends. Since FIFA 14, Legends came out, they've been in FIFA 14, 15, 16, and 17, until icons were formed back in 18. Now, my guess is, because there's no real reason why these guys aren't in game, my only, I guess, explanation, which is kind of reasonable, is the fact that EA saw most of these cards as not good enough for the budget that they had. Keep in mind, it is a company, and each player here, it costs money to get the license to have their card in the game, because these guys aren't playing for actual football clubs. They can't just go to Manchester United and say, yo, I want myself X icon card, Gary Neville. You've got to go to the actual clients themselves. So EA have gone to the client or to the actual player themselves in, I don't know, Sheringham, and said, hey, we've got this game, we want to be having you as a virtual card in this game. Let's say Sheringham will say, okay, I want £50,000, I don't know how much, maybe more than that, I don't know, £50,000 for a 1-year contract, or 2-year contract, or whatever contract they sign. Now, of course, in FIFA 18, there was massive icons added, like a ton of them, because in FIFA 18, they brought in people like Yashin, they brought in people like Ferdinand. They brought in the big boy himself, Maradona. They brought in Thierry Henry. How can we forget R9 Ronaldo? And the one and the only Ronaldinho. So what makes sense is that they had to bring in a bunch of icons like Ronaldo and Ronaldinho and Thierry Henry, and that would cost money. And there are many more new icons like Mateus and Shevchenko, Blanc, Alan Shearer, and also probably many more as well. So with EA, with this budget, they had to make a choice of which icons to give away and to let go of, because they probably can't afford to have every single player possible, or they may just think there's no point having these guys anyway, because the Fowler was never used, Bierhoff never used, Sheringham, Neville, barely ever used, De Boer was never used, so most of these cards were barely even used and would never even fit the meta anyway, so they thought, let's just get rid. Other than Effenberg, no one else here were ever actually used. Don't forget, there's also players on the bench. There's also Breme, FIFA 17 being Carragher and Solskjaer, who were icons back in FIFA 17 and only FIFA 17. I don't know why they only got a 1-year thing, but FIFA 17 they were in the game. Again, never really used because they weren't that usable. And then there's one card which has always been a bit strange, but it's Alexi Lalas. No one knew who he really was before he came into the game. No one actually knew he existed, or they just didn't think it was worth it to carry over to 18. That could be a reason why as well. There you go, boys. That is the 23, I believe, 23 icons that has been removed or have been fan bastard in the entirety of FIFA history. And why? For the reasons that I can find. Most of these was probably because, look, they probably couldn't afford them or didn't want to pay for them anymore. But yeah, this video may have piqued your interest. If you have to enjoy, smash that like button. Tell me down below if you could bring back one icon from this video. Who would it be? And with that said, boys, thank you for watching. My name is Vizeh. I'll see you next time.